Welcome to part 44 of Was I in a Cult? It kind of feels like this series has evolved into something else other than cult-like experiences. However, I have to tell this part of the story because I would have never been in that situation if I were not in that church that I now consider a cult. Do I blame the church for what happened to me? Yes, 100%. It is 100% the fault of the people in that church that falsely accused me of using drugs and took me to go get a drug test and then allowed me to be admitted into a drug rehabilitation unit because they gaslighted me and said that I wasn't eating or sleeping, when the reason why I wasn't eating or sleeping is because they weren't providing the food that they were supposed to provide, and they were keeping me up doing responsibilities of leadership. Yet somehow it was my fault. And they just attributed it to the thought that, oh, maybe she is on drugs. And then through the week, I constantly called them. Actually, I think I was there for 2 weeks, even though I only remember about 2 days of the 2 weeks that I was there. I do remember trying to call the church pretty much every day and never getting anyone to come and visit me or help me, or didn't even seem to want to help me get out. They were just going on with the crusade. They didn't care about me. Nobody came to see me. Nobody came to called me or visited me or anything. What kind of church dumps someone in a hospital and then just doesn't even bother to care for them or come back to see them or find out how they're doing? None of them even made an effort. Yet I was so extremely loyal to God and to this church that I just thought this was the enemy. The enemy is coming against me. The enemy is setting me up. That's what I was thinking, and I remember praying as much as I could, but I got to the point where I couldn't even pray because I couldn't even think. I couldn't read a piece of paper because, again, it was blurry. I was in this catatonic state because, the medication was really getting to me and just sedating me completely. And the only thought I could think was, this is insane, and I'm having a hard time getting out of here, and I can't lie and say that this program is working, and everyone's telling me that if I don't, then I'm not gonna get out. So I was thinking, I just need to somehow find a way of getting out of here. And I was thinking, I'm an adult. I should have a right to leave when I want. I didn't really know anything about any type of holds or laws, you know what I mean, that it just, none of it was making sense to me, because it was like, how is this possible? Like, how can they just hold me here? I did nothing wrong. I knew I did nothing wrong, but I can't prove that I didn't do anything wrong. I'm like, this is crazy. Like, even criminals get some kind of a trial. I didn't get anything. I didn't ever get to see a judge. I didn't ever get to plead my case. I was trying to get a lawyer. I remember calling Patients' Rights every single day and telling them I needed help, and nobody was helping me. Nobody came. Nobody contacted me from the attorneys or whatever process. I remember trying to call Patients' Rights and tell them that my rights were being violated, and nothing happened. Nobody ever did anything. So by that point of time, I was just getting completely desperate because nobody was helping me, and I couldn't even contact my grandparents. I didn't even know if my grandparents knew, and because I wasn't allowed to call them or talk to them. And my grandparents raised me, in case you're wondering why I'm not saying my parents. My grandparents raised me, and they were I don't know what was being told to them, or if they even talked to anybody in the church. I don't know what happened. I still don't know, but All I know is that they never came and they never called me either. I remember just praying and thinking, okay, God, please just help me. Like, help me figure out a way to get out of here. And I was just like, I don't know what's going on, God. Like, I just wanted to serve you. I just wanted to come on this crusade and lead people to God. Like, that was my whole thing, you know? And I was like, well, maybe I'm in here because I needed to see this. I needed to see how these people were being treated. And I needed to see that there was this injustice that was taking place in society that not many people would see, and even if they did see it, they wouldn't really believe it, because I don't know, I felt like maybe I'm there for a reason, you know, like maybe I'm there because I'm supposed to reach someone in here. So okay, now this is back to the cult situation, right? Me being taught that you hear from God, you know what I mean? You hear from God, you talk to God, right? Now, think about this. You're in a place where there are psychiatrists, there are scientists, they're taught really that that's a delusion, basically. You know what I mean? Like, scientists and psychologists do not usually believe in God. And if you start to talk to a psychiatrist and tell them that you pray and that you're talking to God, they're thinking that you're delusional, basically. I mean, that's just how it is. I think that's why I continue to be medicated so heavily, because every time I would talk to the psychiatrist, you know, he would ask me, you know what I mean, like, about why I'm here, and I would tell him, and I would talk to him about, you know, I'm on this crusade, you know, I'm here to reach people, you know, to tell people about Jesus. And I was just always talking about God because that's what I was taught. And because I was in a cult, I was sold out to this, you know, Pentecostalism, you know what I mean? And that alone is something that is looked at as crazy by some people. You know what I mean? Like, believing in the gifts of the Spirit, the tongues and things like that. I mean, our church spoke in tongues. That sounds crazy to a psychiatrist. Our church talked about hearing from God. Like, so if you said you heard from God, they're like, she's hearing things. She's like, is she schizophrenic? Like, I remember actually talking to people about God when I was there, because I thought, I'm here, I might as well make the most of it. So I started trying to lead people to the Lord. And, you know, I do remember, like, praying with this one girl, and, you know, she said the sinner's prayer and gave her life to Jesus. And so I thought, okay, this is why I'm here. I'm here to lead people to God. So I just try to continue doing that. But the more I did that, the more medicated I became, because I was looked at as a delusional person that believed in something that didn't exist, basically. And let's top this off. I didn't know it at the time, but way later on, when I did read my paperwork, guess what I was diagnosed with? I was diagnosed as hyper-religious. Yes, hyper-religious. I guess that's a thing. That was my diagnosis. That is what I left the hospital with. But before I left the hospital, I had to go through some more trauma. There was a point that I was so highly medicated that I couldn't even put words into sentences. I couldn't formulate a thought. I would start to speak and then mid-sentence forget what I was even saying. It was horrible. I was drooling. It was that bad. And this was all because they thought I was on drugs. So they thought putting me on drugs was a solution. I still don't understand that. I knew in the back of my mind that if I just got off these drugs, I could be me again. I could be normal again. So I had to do whatever it took to get out of there and get off those drugs. I'm out of time.